Hello, kings and queens, and everyone in between. My name is JJ, and welcome to Skincraft. Welcome back to another Skincare Storytime. In today's Skincare Storytime, I'll be telling you about the time I was scouted for Millionaire Matchmaker while I was out on a date. I can't. Who does that? And as for my skincare treatment for today, I will be doing red light therapy featuring the LightStim handheld. As you may already know, red light therapy is helpful at inducting collagen, providing the much needed energy for your cells to perform their jobs, and it helps to aid in healing, and it's very anti-inflammatory. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, listen up, and watch me do my skincare. Okay, so many moons ago, I'm not going to be telling you how many moons, but suffice to say there have been many moons since this evening. I was running around at the clubs in West Hollywood. Now, towards the middle to the end of this night, there was a gentleman who was asking for my phone number. I had already exited the club and it was really cold that night, and he offered for me to hop in his car just to warm up.
Sure, Jan.
As I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, somebody came up and started banging on the driver's side window. Now, the windows on this car were extremely tinted, so this person couldn't see us, but we could sort of make them out. After my new friend rolled down his window, this cute 20-something-year-old poked her head into the car and started looking over at me. At first, I just thought she was some drunk bystander trying to get our attention, but then she started asking me if I wanted to be on this new reality show. Again, I just thought she was drunk, but then she started going into detail about this new reality show that was emerging, featuring Patty Stanger as the host. It was explained to me that this woman was some phenomenal matchmaker, and she was matchmaking people up with millionaires that were looking for love. And my new friend that was pursuing me and had asked for my number was looking around like, what the hell is going on here? The woman proceeded to tell me that she wanted me to stop by casting the following day. And although the situation was fairly awkward with her wanting to put me on a dating show while I was sitting there with somebody who was obviously interested in me, of course I said yes. I mean, what was I going to do? Turn down the chance to be matched with my soulmate? So the woman provided me the information necessary and she went on her way. The next day I made an appointment with casting and I went in. Oh wait, I didn't go to casting. The next day I called the casting directors to set up an appointment to be seen. After giving them my name and details, they told me that it wasn't necessary for me to be seen and that they were just going to cast me on the show. I was given a brief overview of what filming would be like, and then they secured a couple of dates that we were going to shoot. I was given an address by the producers for the film dates, and upon inspection, this address looked slightly familiar, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. However, once I arrived, I realized it was a club that I actually frequented quite often. That club today is known as the Chapel at the Abbey. So then came the filming date. So I show up for my call time and there's just a ton of producers and TV crew buzzing around the entire place. And then I look a little bit further and there's about 40 other gay guys filling up the entire club. And this was a very interesting experience. There were lots of colorful characters filling up the lobby very quickly. Little did I know they were also all contestants and that there were going to be elimination rounds. Now, at the time, this was pretty groundbreaking because I believe Millionaire Matchmaker was only in their second season and they had never done an episode featuring gay men before.
Lions and twinks and bears, oh my!
And to my knowledge, there were no other reality dating shows at that time that had done the same. So I met with the producers and they gave me a brief overview of what I could expect for filming that day, and then they went ahead and mic'd me up. And then I was kind of just drop-kicked into the hornet's nest with the rest of them. A couple of TV-fit bartenders showed up and just started pouring shots for everyone as if we weren't just about to be filming to go on national TV. Needless to say, a lot of us were very nervous, and a lot of the guys ended up taking multiple shots. Before we even started filming, there were quite a few people that were clearly inebriated. I, however, didn't drink any alcohol because I didn't want to make an ass of myself on television. And I have no idea at that age how I had the foresight not to do so. So as everybody's enjoying their cocktails and mingling, all of a sudden Patty comes storming through the door. And she's followed by a small team of people. She had arrived bare skin and no hair, so she still had to get her hair and makeup done, leaving even more room for people to get even more inebriated. But I gotta tell you, I was really impressed how that makeup artist popped on a full face of natural glam in under 30 minutes. Shortly after Patty finished with her makeup, she came over to the bar area where everybody was congregating, drinking, and getting to know each other, and she started berating the bartender. She started shouting at him because apparently the guy didn't want to sign a release to be on film. This went back and forth for about 10 minutes while the guy still wouldn't sign the release. Apparently, he had aspirations of becoming an actor, and he felt being on a reality TV show would hurt his chances of making it in Hollywood. This only further aggravated Patty, and it ended with her telling him that he was a moron, stating that reality TV was the future. And on some levels, she wasn't wrong. But he had dreams of becoming the next Tom Cruise. After Patty finished with her first victim, she then headed over to the casting couch with two of her colleagues. They were getting ready because the producers were about to group everyone together and they were going to put us in pairs to go up in front of Patty and her assistants on camera and be interviewed for the episode. So as they started pairing everyone up, I got paired up with a heavily inebriated gentleman. This guy was 3 sheets to the wind and this was going to make for very interesting television. So they started calling everyone up in pairs to stand in front of the camera, Patty, and 2 of her assistants. This is when she started to get to know the contestants and she fired off a line of questions. Some of the questions were really fun and some of them were quite tough. And I started getting pretty nervous being that my turn was growing closer and my partner was a little out of it.
You don't know me.
So sure enough, it was our turn and the producers escorted us up in front of Patty. She immediately started interviewing my partner that I was paired up with and things went downhill pretty fast.
Who's Maurice?
I am.
27, stylist. Where are you a stylist at?
I freelance.
I don't know where things went wrong, but it didn't take long for the both of them to start fighting with each other.
Of course, the gay open call would not be complete without one bitch. A gay bitch.
Next thing I know, during Patty's line of questioning, the guy kept interrupting her and she did not take too kindly to that.
With all due respect.
Okay.
I'm a stylist. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm starting up a talent agency.
For our particular client tomorrow, we feel he wouldn't have been attracted to you.
I mean, if I may finish my sentence, because you will know me.
The guy was inebriated, belligerent, and they just started going at each other. I was just standing off to the side from a comfortable distance, trying not to get caught in the crossfires. At one point, she aggressively sat forward and started yelling at him.
What I'm going to tell you right now is when I get a millionaire who comes to me who spends like $50,000 for me to bring him the Holy Grail, he would not be attracted to you. The penis would not get off the couch.
No, baby. Yes, it would.
Now, I know Patty can hold her own, but I didn't know she was going to hold a grudge. So I was getting a little scared because my turn was coming up. After their little tit for tat and Patty was done verbally stomping him into the ground, she set her sights on me.
Jonathan!
Hey, how are you? And all I can say is I'm glad she's a professional because she was very courteous towards me. She started off by asking me my name and then we went ahead and exchanged compliments for one another.
Jonathan, you're hot.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Jonathan is good looking and hot. I say yes to him. Maurice, not so sure.
You don't know me. If you can get to know one thing about me, that'd be fabulous.
Honey, you're in a world of delusion. Out the door, out. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
Needless to say, I was very relieved. After my line of questioning and the interview wrapped up, we were then escorted away for our post-green screen interviews. I don't even remember what I said during mine because all I could focus on was my partner screaming at production and screaming into the camera.
There's no way in hell that I'm insecure about this or this or this or this or this. Like, I'm very blessed. I do have a good body, number one. And secondly, yes, that's it. That's my truth.
I'm not really sure what he was saying either because he was so inebriated he couldn't form a coherent sentence. I honestly just remember feeling really bad for him because this was all going to be aired on national television. After things died down a little bit, production gathered everybody into a big group. There was approximately 40 of us and it was time for elimination. So Patty and her team stood before us and one by one just slowly started eliminating contestants she didn't feel was right for her client. They were supposedly going to be keeping about half of us, so that meant there was only going to be 20 contestants remaining after they were done eliminating. I was feeling pretty good about my chances just because Patty and I did hit it off pretty well. Although that could have been just by contrast and comparison considering she almost killed my partner. Once they got done eliminating the 20th contestant, I was pleasantly surprised that I was still standing. After that, production wrapped and they came over to let us know that we had an early call time to film again tomorrow. They let us know that they'd be emailing us the address for a secured location later that evening. At this point, I headed home to get some sleep. All I know is I was really glad that I didn't drink. So I woke up the next morning and checked the email from production to see where we were going to be filming. It turned out we were going to be filming at this establishment called H-Wood in Hollywood. Once I was done getting ready, I went outside to hop in my car and realized that it was just pouring down rain and for some reason extremely humid. And that doesn't go well with gelled hair. Next thing I know, the rain is washing off my spray tan and flattening out my hair so I'd look really good for the Millionaire. So I hopped in my car, I drove over to H-Wood, and when I entered the building, I saw all of these drop-dead gorgeous women. So I was like, either all of these guys from yesterday had an amazing sex change operation, or I'm in the wrong place. So I started to introduce myself to these women, and come to find out they were all there to film their episode as well. They were doing a split episode. Half of the episode would be for them, the other half would be for us. So we're all trying to find somewhere to kind of set up and get ready before we start filming. Meanwhile, it's extremely muggy, it's getting hot inside of this building even though it's raining and there's no air conditioning. So everybody's hair just looked like cotton candy.
You know what this humidity does to my hair.
I know, cotton candy.
Shortly after we all found somewhere to stash our stuff, it was time for roll call. This time Patty showed up camera ready and we got down to business. So we started doing roll call and they noticed that the numbers were off by a marginal amount, but they couldn't really figure out why. More on that later. So the producer started divvying everyone up so we could film our separate segments, and after I got done with a few scenes, somewhere along the line they separated the gay guys from the women. After we were about halfway done with the filming, it was time for lunch. So we all headed into a common area where they supplied us with Subway sandwiches. Nothing like a garlic lover sub before you meet your match. So we were all getting to know each other, and there was this one girl that I hit it off with really well. She reminded me quite a lot of Paris Hilton, which is really funny because she had actually done one of Paris's reality shows. I think it was Paris's Wanna Be My BFF. Anyway, this girl was really sweet and charming, and as we were sitting in a booth just winding down from lunch, Patty came in the room with production and told everybody to listen up. She looked over at our table and she looked quite annoyed. Then, out of nowhere, she called this girl out. This was about to be victim number 3. She asked the girl who she was and what she was doing there. The girl looked so confused and so perplexed, and she didn't really know how to answer the question. But then Patty further went on to say, "We noticed that our roster is off and you're not on it.
You can't sit with us!
She continued on asking her, how did you find out about this secured location and who told you could arrive and start filming? After some poking and prodding, she finally fessed up and said that somebody from production had tipped her off, but she wouldn't disclose who it was. Patty was pretty pissed, but she decided to let the girl stay. And I actually think that was the right move because the girl was super charismatic and she was perfect for television. Anyway, after that little snafu, it was time for us to all have our one-on-one interviews with the millionaire.
I'm glad I finally have some male heterosexual company.
Too bad I'm gay.
So we were all being filmed, standing around the bar, waiting for our turn for the speed date. Once it was my turn, the producers came and grabbed me and took me back to some back room. This is where I was introduced to the millionaire. I sat down and braced myself for an unknown line of questioning. He was actually really nice, he was a bit older, and he asked me some pretty fair questions. However, at one point, he did reference that my lips looked a little bit larger than they might have naturally, and asked me if I had had any work done. And I don't know what came over me, but I quickly replied and said something to the effect of, well, I didn't pop out of my mom looking like this.
And where'd you get your beautiful eyes?
My mom.
Your lips? It looks like you've,
Enhanced a bit?
maybe, yeah.
I didn't pop out like this, let's just say that. Luckily, he found that quite humorous, we shared a laugh, and off I popped. As I left the room, I was able to then go over and sort of observe the filming for the girls' side of things. Apparently, the millionaire for them was some guy who had directed a movie called Stigmata. I didn't know who he was or what that movie was about, but it was really fun to watch them film. After the speed dates were wrapped up for both the women and the men, we all then got called into this big dining hall where the women were standing on the left, the men were standing on the right, and we were all standing in front of Patty, 2 of her assistants, as well as both millionaires. Now it was time for more eliminations. So being that there was about 20 of the men left, they were trying to whittle it down to between 7 and 10 contestants. Shortly thereafter, Patty started cutting people left and right. And I don't know how it happened after my speed date with the millionaire, but they kept me around. So now there's just between 7 and 10 of us. We go on and continue filming a few more segments, and then it came time for the millionaire to choose who he was interested on taking on a date. Spoiler alert, it wasn't me. Nonetheless, I felt like this was an opportunity of a lifetime. Not because I was going to be on TV, but because how many people get to experience being on a live film set? If you're into anything Hollywood, that was really cool. And I also got to make a couple friends. Now it's time for an interesting bit of side tea. About a month and a half later, I actually ran into the millionaire at the same club where we did our first day of filming. I randomly saw him and approached him to ask him how he was doing. He was standing there with a really creepy looking guy. And when the guy excused himself to go to the restroom at one point, I remember asking who he was. And I couldn't really get a clear answer. And I'm not basing all of this on the way that the guy looked, it was the vibe he gave off. It was super creepy. Like, you just know when somebody's off or they don't have good intent. Anyway, I had asked the millionaire, where's the guy that you chose on the show?
Chad.
And he had informed me it didn't work out. So, say la vie. I'm sure they at least had a really fun date.
Cheers. You have to look in the eyes. I heard 7 years bad sex.
Prior to ending our conversation, he did ask me if I wanted to have a drink with him, but I politely declined and went about my business. So that's going to do it for today's skincare story time. That's my story about being on Millionaire Matchmaker. I really hope you enjoyed today's skincare story time, and if you have any questions about this story, leave a comment down below, and if you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Okay guys, see you in the next one. As I was warming up, we were kind of getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, somebody started knocking on the driver's side window. As I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, somebody came up and started... I can't. I cannot. As I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of... I can't finish this sentence. As I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, this person came up. Oh my gosh. as I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, somebody came up and started. I cannot. As 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 I was warming up, we were kind of just getting to know each other a little bit, and then out of nowhere, this person came up and started banging on the window.